Greetings, my sports to the bone family. Thank you guys for checking this video out. Just go right ahead and hit that subscribe button and also leave a like on the video. Alright, so over the past couple of weeks, we have been discussing the whole issue of West Indies CWI, appointing a head coach. It's been a while now since Phil Simmons walked away from his job, and we have been eagerly anticipating someone stepping into the role, not because they are going to fix West Indies cricket in just one wave of a magic one or anything, but just to show that there is some stability, or there is somebody at the helm and there is a plan and they're actually working towards something with a leader at the front, right? So we definitely want to see that. But I'm going to shift a little bit from the whole head coach situation in this video. I am actually going to label this one 5 things that we need to ask ourselves before we select the squad going into Zimbabwe. And we're talking about the selectors. The selectors, 5 questions that they need to ask themselves. And as fans, we like to select our own little squads and say, yeah, this is my squad going into Bangladesh. These are the players, into Zimbabwe, sorry. These are the players that we need to take. And I just want you guys to ask yourselves these 5 questions before we select this squad. Because we are building for the we like to say we are building for the future, but I want to say we are building for the present and the future. Right, the first question that I am thinking, is this a fresh start? And when I ask the question if this is a fresh start, right, I am talking about Australia. Remember, we just played those 2 test matches against Australia. And I remember on a couple of lives that we did on this platform, quite a few people were saying that, they're going to give the West Indies players a free pass for this Australia series. It really starts against Zimbabwe and then South Africa. Don't know how we managed to give them a free pass against another international team. I don't know. We should be competing. But I can understand that they are way ahead of us. But I just want to know, before we select this squad, are we giving, is it a first start, or are we looking at the players that totally failed, especially in the test match, and we are saying, well, there are 2 more test matches from being dropped, or we're going to give him a first start? So that is the first question. Is it a first start, or do we take a look at what they did in Australia? You understand? It is for the coach to and the selectors to really start that out. The second question, is the long-term coach okay with the squad of players? So I know that they might not, probably they haven't finalized anything with the long-term coach as yet. Maybe they have what they call a gentleman's agreement, where they will, they probably say agree verbally and say, all right, yeah, we're going this and that, but they probably haven't signed anything. But what I want to know, going into Zimbabwe, is the long-term coach okay with the squad that will be selected for Zimbabwe? Because more than likely, majority of the players that will be selected for Zimbabwe will be going into South Africa, and then they're probably going to build with those players. So one thing they need to get right with, make sure that the long-term coach, if they have committed some sort of agreement that, this person will take over the team, make sure that that person is really okay with the players that they are putting in. I mean, the selectors are the ones that really select, and the coach get the unit together. But you would imagine that the selector will have some sort, the coach will have some sort of say in the matter. So we don't want it to be a case where the coach comes in and then this, the selectors just select people and they go to Zimbabwe and then South Africa, and then the new long-term head coach is saying, well, I don't want these players to work with. We want to make sure that coming out of Australia, whatever we're doing, there's a continuation. Just like how you would see in football, international football, club football, when a manager buys a player, or when a manager bring in a player, you understand, if that manager gets sacked or loses his job within a month or 2 of signing that player, 1 or 2 players, then the next manager coming in might say, listen, Why I didn't sign these players, I need extra money to bring in other players. These players can manage my system. We don't want that with this new coach that is coming in. So whoever it is, I am hoping that there is some sort of agreement and he has his backroom staff or whoever to look over what is going on and make sure that some continuation will continue. So that is number 3. Or number 2. The next one, what are the major changes will be made for the South Africa base condition? What major changes will be made? So we know that we are going into Zimbabwe, which is expected to be a spin-friendly place. Then South Africa will prepare pace. So Zimbabwe is expected to be spin-friendly. South Africa will be expected to prepare pace, right? So what major changes will be made? We don't want it to be a case where we select a certain amount of players and then we just chop and change up everyone. We want a good core of players that and that is it, when you have players that are good enough, they will manage spin and pace. So we want to know that the core of the players are going to be selected and they are going to be tasked, challenged to play in both conditions, right? If we're going to have new players, this is the next thing connected to number 4 is connected to number 3. If we are going to have new players going, players that did not go to Zimbabwe that you will take to South Africa because of the conditions, right? You expect the place to be fast and whatever. Are we going to be able to bring them as a part of the squad to allow them to stay in and around, or that is going to be a problem? These are just some questions that I am thinking we need to ask ourselves going into Zimbabwe, right? The next one, if they know the players that they want to carry, say for argument's sake, they are planning to name the squad next week, so they probably have the guys in the back of their mind already. If they know those players, is there any sort of room for the guys that are currently taking part in their trial games? I know it is not regional games, but we have people, we have Guyana, they have 3 teams they are going to be taking part in a little tri series in the next couple of days. Trinidad just had theirs and things, so you can imagine that quite a few players will be putting on a show to try and catch the selectors' eyes going into Zimbabwe. So that is another question. Are we going to just select the team based on players that would have played in Australia plus 1 and 2 other players that they have in the back of their mind, or there's going to be a space for players that are doing well in their little inter-squad games? I call it inter-squad games because if you are not going up against the best that the region has to offer, I don't really count it. You understand? We see people making runs against guys from their own country that are probably not even going to make the national team, much as the West Indies team. So we can't really select the team like we can't really select people out of those sort of competition, and thing. But I just asking the question, my peeps. I know you guys generally have the answers, so I am going to leave this one right here for now. So those are the 5 questions that I am asking myself, and I think the selectors should be asking themselves as it relates to this West Indies team and how we move forward. But I think the most important one is whether or not the players coming out of Australia will be given a fresh start. They will say, listen, new coach is coming in. Coach believes in you. You are a part of the unit. Coach wants you in the group. Let us put Australia behind us. This is our first start. Or we're going to take a look at their performances in all 4 innings over there in Australia and then say, well, you're probably 2 or 3 innings away from being dropped. I don't know. Just asking. Go and leave it right here for now. Sports to the bone. Keeping you informed. Big up on yourself.